Hey YouTube, we have a rocket event happening, and it comes with some really good shadow Pokemon. Some Pokemon that you definitely need to go out and get. So we're gonna go over this event. We're gonna look at all the shadow Pokemon. Now it's funny because I put in PvP Poke rankings. I'm like, okay, let's look at all these Pokemon, and all the shadow, pretty much every single shadow Pokemon is ranked lower than the non-shadow Pokemon. Although I don't agree with the rankings, I feel like some of them should be ranked higher, and I'll explain why when we go over them. Okay, so let's look at this list. Team Go Rockets will appear more frequently. Charge TM to get rid of frustration, so we love these. Shadow raids during the event have a wider variance, which is what you want, right? You want definitely like lower attacks when it comes to these raid ones, and you can't trade shadow Pokemon, so that's why. Shadow Dialga is the new shadow Pokemon, and we'll just go check it out right away. The Shadow Dialga is ranked lower. Let me move this over just a little bit. The Shadow Dialga is ranked a little lower than the non-Shadow in the Master League. Again, this is one league that I can't speak to as much anymore because I don't play it. Again, for sure you want the Origin form anyways. It's with Palkia and Dialga. You definitely want those Origin forms. I don't know how much play the other Dialgas have. Dialga is a great safe swap. And the reason I think that the Shadow's worse is because you're pretty much two-shotting everything. You're either Dragon Breath Draco for one-shotting everything, or you're Dragon Breath Iron Head two-shotting everything. And I don't think the Shadow gives you like a one-shot Dragon Breath Iron Head. And that's going to be a very similar theme we're going to see with a lot of these Pokemon when it comes to the Shadow version here. Actually, one Shadow is better. Typhlosion is way better. So people were asking, because I used Shadow Typhlosion a lot last week, say, whoa, when are we going to get Shadow Typhlosion? You're going to get it right now. So, Shadow Go Rocket Grunt. Here are the new Pokemon. Slakoth, Inkay, Tyrunt, and Aurorus. And man, people were always wondering when we were going to get a Shadow Vigoroth, and we got it. But unfortunately, triple nerfed. That becomes irrelevant. So, did I put Vigoroth in here? I did. So the Shadow is better. But again, triple nerfed, it's not much that needs to be done. Like, it's not anything that you need to worry about. I mean, maybe they'll rebuff counter and stuff like that. But unless counter gets buffed or gets a new fast move, I don't know what fast move we would get to make it better. But Body Slam got nerfed, Rock Slide got nerfed, counter got nerfed. Yeah, why it's better is it probably now with all these nerfs goes back to like two counters and Body Slams. You obviously give up some health because of it. Like, you take more damage, but going to like just counter Body Slam is probably better now. But again, not much you can do there. Inkay, Malamar, and Malamar, you're gonna see the Shadow is slightly lower. Let me just look at this. Yeah, 19 and 24 versus the non-Shadow, which I'm guessing is gonna have a higher record, and it should make sense. Yeah, 21, 22. And this makes sense, and this is what you're going to see a lot of. So why is it that the non-shadow is better? And you always need to, when it comes to these shadows, and I kind of just explained it with Dialga, and I'll explain it with all these as we go through them. The question is, now that I'm adding 20%, I think 20% more damage, and I'm giving away 20% health, is that 20% damage that I'm picking up change the amount of charge move, fast move combos I need to throw? And the perfect example, which I always give as a great illustration before the foul play nerf, in my opinion, was Sableye. Because Sableye, non-shadow, again, pre-foul play nerf, you can go Shadow Claw, foul play for the non-shadow. But what made the shadow so strong is because you got that extra damage, you can just go Shadow Claw, one foul play, and then Shadow Claw the rest of it down. So the question is now here, can you do that with Malamar? And the answer is probably not. Superpower and foul play are just not good enough moves, right? So, I mean, they're good moves. Don't get me wrong. They're good moves for Malamar, but they're not, even with the shadow bonus, they're not moves that are going to one-shot anything, right? So here you have, with the same type of attack bonus and the shadow bonus, 86.4 damage on the foul play and 102 on the superpower, right? So 2.55 damage per energy and 102 superpower, only taking 10 turns to get through, is a fantastic move. It's not going to one-shot anything. So when you offset that with the damage you're taking, it just means that you're pretty much still going to need 2 side waves and 2 superpowers / foul plays to take out most things. but you're now taking more damage that you're going to be able to be taken out faster in some scenarios. So that's why Malamar is ranked lower. Tyrunt, Tyrunt here is not great. Tyrantrum is actually worse. Again, it's just not usable anyways in the Great League. And Aurorus, again, same sort of thing. Like Meteor Beam is pretty much a nuke as it is. Like Meteor Beam even without the shadow does 144 damage, right? So maybe it doesn't one shot everything, but it's a pretty hard hitting move, and it buffs your attack. And Weather Ball is just so bad, right? So you're not picking up much. You're not picking up anything here with Weather Ball. Like maybe up to 80 damage. Maybe now you're only going 2 Weather Balls instead, right? Just Powder Snow Weather Ball twice, as opposed to you probably need 3 if it's only going to do 66 damage. So maybe you pick up some there. But the Meteor Beam damage is obviously going to be insane, 172. This is going to one-shot pretty much everything unless it's resisted. But the damage you're giving up for what is pretty much a one-shot anyways on Meteor Beam maybe flips it in the Weather Balls. Yeah, so like again, maybe the Weather Ball does pick you up some matchups here. I should compare it side by side, but it's 19 and 22 as a non-shadow. And 25 and 19 as the shadow. No, sorry, as the non-shadow. So the non-shadow 25 19 the other way. So I picked like 6 more wins. So again, that's where the shadow just again you're just taking too much more damage, taking enough damage, and your move set does not change enough to flip that. But the shadow raids, Shadow Magnemite, Shadow Cyndaquil, which is Typhlosion, and Shadow Spoink, which I think I need to go get one of these because that is Grumpig, and I do not have a Shadow version yet. But as you're going to see here in the rankings, Typhlosion for sure. 100% you need Shadow Typhlosion. Shadow Typhlosion is much like the old joke of Shadow Charizard doesn't care about your typings. Shadow Typhlosion with Blast Burn doesn't care about your typings. I just used this a ton in the Remix Cup, and it was basically I was Blast Burning Quagsires and Swampers, and they were all shielding because you have to, because it does take you and resist it on like Skelders and stuff, and it still takes you to the deep red. Like it is an absolute nuke with the shadow. 158.4 damage, right? So it is just an absolute nuke. 3.17 damage per energy, especially when you have the Incinerate's adding up, and that's the thing, right? Incinerate is already one of the best damage and energy combo moves. So you just buff the attack on the Incinerate, and you have this Blast Burn, which is insane. Thunder Punch coverage is nice. A lot of the times I could just go Incinerate, Thunder Punch, and like the 1-2 shield and take it from there. So yeah, Shadow Typhlosion is for sure. And then, there's Grumpig. 16 to 30. And I'm going to have to just check the matchups here because I would have thought that this is one that would actually change. 16, I guess not. 16 and 28 is quite low for a Pokemon ranked that high. And 25-19. So it is a substantial loss. Holy smokes. What are you losing all these on? Because I thought this would be one where... But I guess Dynamic Punch and... Yeah, you lose a significant amount. Holy smokes. That is brutal. I guess it makes sense just based on the numbers. Because I thought that... Because Dynamic Punch and Shadow Ball are already pretty good moves, right? They do like 90 and 100 damage. Yeah. So 90 for Dynamic Punch and 100 for Shadow Ball. So I thought maybe with the bonus damage and the Psywave damage on top, you would be able to take out in one, that which you couldn't normally do with Grumpig, right? So I thought with the extra 4.32 damage per turn here with the Shadow and Stab and the 108 120 that you can combo one turn, but I guess one. Can you just take out Psywave and Shadow Ball with Psywaves anyways? Is that why you lose so many? Let me just look at an example here. So Shadow Typhlosion, is it just one dynamic? Well, this one's probably just one Dynamic Punch needs to land. Yeah. And you only last with 3 HP, so you probably get taken out there. Shadow Typhlosion is like a bad example. Let me see if there's a little more bulkier one that we can talk about here. Marowak's probably just a one-shot. Ferret's a good one. Yeah, so the non-shadow still one shots the dynamic puncher at the 102 damage, right? So I guess because Psywave is such a good move anyways, and the dynamic punch and shadow ball are pretty good moves, not amazing moves, not like one shot nukes, but they're pretty hard hitting moves. So having those stab Psywaves and like the dynamic punch shadow ball anyways, you can probably in some instances just get away with Psywave and one of those moves anyways. Uh, Whereas you were giving up too much more damage for the shadow. So I'll still get one because you never know. But yeah, and then there's Lapras, which kind of showcased, where was it here? I've clicked too many times. There's Lapras. Um, and again, this goes back to the exact same rationale that I just mentioned multiple times before. Psywave and Sparkling Aria pretty much two shots everything. Go Psywave, Sparkling Aria, Psywave, Sparkling Aria as the non-shadow. And that will take out, and there is no way that is going to take out in one if you go Sideways Sparkling Aria with the Shadow. So you're just giving up some of your bulk for a Pokemon that cannot one-shot anyways. And I do have a Shadow Lapras, and I can confirm that is the case because I've played both Lapras and Shadow Lapras. I still like Shadow Lapras, and don't get me wrong. Here's the thing. This is what I'm going to say about all these before we go. Before you're like, why would I get any of these Pokemon except for like Shadow Typhlosion, which is like one of the only ones who have a better record. Here's the thing about what you need to know about these rankings and the Sims here and everything. This indicates even energy, even shield, and that shield is the 1, right? That might not be how you play with these Pokemon, right? So if you like I don't, again, I have no idea what this is actually going to be, but let's just look at how like different this is going to be. Maybe in the 0s and 1s this will change. So you have a 9 more wins with I'll just check this one because it's the craziest like swing here. You have 9 more wins as the non-shadow in the 1 shield even energy. In the 0s, this is a perfect example. In the 0s, you have 2 more wins. And that makes sense now because now you have a harder hitting Psywave and a harder hitting Shadow Ball and Dynamic Punch, and that will probably one shot a ton of things. Now you have a worse average, which means you're losing some of these much, much worse. So overall your average is worse, but you have 2 more wins in terms of the matchups. And in the 2 shield, you're probably going to lose even more. Oh no, that's about even. I guess that makes sense because you're probably just going to go down anyways. You're either going to take them out or go down. So it really is in the 1 shield here that shows like the absolute worst case scenario for Grumpig, right? Whereas in the 0, it actually shows you win more, and in this one, it shows that you're basically the same, slightly worse, but like basically the same. So you got to remember, like when you're taking in the analysis of these Pokemon, it's just like, yes, some of these may be worse, and I think on like Lapras is a perfect example that it won't change. Let's check Lapras because Lapras is an interesting one. I like using the shadow, but it 100% it makes sense to not use the shadow in the 1s because yeah, you lose 2 and your average is significantly down, right? So that's the 1. Oh, no wait, that's the 2s. Sorry, that's the 2s. In the 1s, same thing. You lose 3 more and significant average, and 0. I'm gonna guess the same because you're probably not one-shotting anything. Yeah, loss of 3. It's not surprising. Shadow is the most obvious one that it makes sense that it doesn't do it because there is no scenario where that shadow helps you one shot anything. So it makes sense that you're just losing all these shield scenarios. Whereas the Grumpig, it does make sense because in the 0 shields, with doing that Psywave, which does so much stab, and then a Shadow Ball or Diamond Punch, which are already great moves, with the Shadow bonus, you can one-shot things. But you cannot one-shot stuff with Lapras here. So that's the big difference. Because Lapras, again, even though the damage may be thing, Lapras is way more defensive heavy, so its attack is much, much lower, while Grumpig has a much higher attack. So when you see these numbers, it doesn't actually take into the full calculation, like the attack stat, when it comes to the damage that it actually does. So yeah, I think that's mostly it. So Lapras, Piloswine, and well, I don't even know what Girder is. I guess it's the second evolution of something. Eggs, Lavatar, and Ponyard. beginning with the event and continuing afterward, Larvitar and Pawniard will be available in 10K and no longer available in 12. And then your normal yada 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 yada. Yeah. So again, I think it is definitely an event you want to play. It's an event that it's one of those that you always probably want to get one of these shadows just in case, right? Even though a lot of them sim a lot worse, you never know what moveset's going to come and what that could mean for the shadow versus non-shadow. So I'm definitely myself going to get a Shadow Spoink because I don't have one. I've got a lot of these other ones, Murkrow, and I don't know if, again, it's just not a good Pokemon anyways. Again, I already have a Shadow Typhlosion. For sure I have one in the Great League. I don't know if I have one in the Ultra League, so maybe I'll go do another one of those raids. And this event is on from Wednesday at 12 a.m. to Sunday at 12 p.m. So we got 5 full days to do it. Anyways, let me know in the comments below, because I know some of these Pokemon are already out. Like, I have a Shadow Typhlosion, and I've definitely seen Shadow Grumpig. But these were the ones that seem new, so I'm sure people are going to like test Malamar and stuff. But again, Malamar's not going to one-shot anything that it would be able to one-shot before. Like, there's still going to be 2 for everything. Anyways, maybe not super power if you're super effective. Maybe that'll one-shot, but still, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, that is it. Yay. Anyways, yeah. So league turnover, Retro Cups teams this morning, and then we'll do a ton of Retro Cup this week. So please send me some battles because, yeah, I don't think I can do a bunch. I am playing more. You know what? Great League Remix. I won't play Monday. So yesterday I'll break my streak. But I did every day, every sets for 5 straight days. I think basically Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I played every single set every single day. I hit expert rank. I dropped a bit since then. But we will try to hit legend these next 3 weeks. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.